Welcome back to DIY RC Garage. So we're building the Scx10 here, and I thought I would do a build update. There's lots of people doing step-by-step builds on YouTube, so I thought I would do a section and just go with the high points and low points of each section we go through. So let's dive right in here. When you start building this truck, you pretty much start with the axles and the transmissions and stuff. A couple of things to note about the axles. The portal covers. There is two different portal covers. They're very, very subtle in their differences, and the front ones don't fit very well on the back ones, and the back ones don't fit very well on the front ones. And the other thing to note on these is in the axle tube, it looks like there's a spot for a bearing at this one end. If you put a bearing in there, the axle cover doesn't fit. So the bearing actually goes elsewhere. So yeah, a couple of things to note, but other than that, they go together very well, and they turn quite smooth, so they're pretty nice. They supply lots of grease with it, so make sure you grease them well. The other thing to note, in the carrier, there's two bearings on either side of the carrier that are not rubber sealed. It doesn't say anywhere in the instructions, but if you look really close at the barrier, there's minimal grease in there. So just take some of the black grease and just grease that bearing as well. Make that bearing last way longer, which will be a bit of work to change because you have to pull the covers and yeah, change in the end. The other thing that I noticed, well, what's next? Transmission. All goes together quite well. A couple of things to note on the transmission build. The cover at the front here, there's one bolt for this bracket that goes through behind the motor plate here. So you gotta make sure you put that in first. And that's pretty much it. The gear is pretty much self-distancing. You just gotta adjust the pinion for in and out. Lots of guys don't like the 2-speed. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. The dig seems to be pretty cool. I know lots of guys say that the dig kind of hangs up a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. I actually greased the dig shaft a little bit because there's no mention in the book anywhere to put any grease on the slide shaft. So I put a little grease on the slide shaft, but I think it made it slide a little bit smoother. So maybe that'll relieve that issue. Lots of guys have noticed that if you set your servo just right, you can actually get the back wheels to freewheel, which is pretty cool. So you just have front wheel drive. That's about it to note on that. Most people are recommending somewhere around that 35 turn motor. So I'm going to start with a 35 turn motor and see what happens there. Links. The links go together pretty easily. You have to pay attention. There is a groove on that one that matches up to other links and gives you an end to work with, I guess. There is one link in the book. The length in the book does not match the link itself for distance, so you got to measure that with something. I just use a drafting ruler to get the millimeters right. Other than that, the links go together quite well. No worries there. The drive shafts, well, everybody knows about the wild boar drive shafts. There's not much to say about them. They're pretty tried, true, and tested. Shocks go together really well. It's the bleeding screw on it is a little bit interesting to play with. To get them, you got to tinker with them a little bit to get them bled out right, so that they got full compression on them. But they go together quite well, and they're very smooth. Very, very nice shocks. And the only other thing that I noted is that putting all the screws into the hard plastics. I know lots of people just drive the screws in, and I notice with this stuff, you can strip out that plastic pretty easy, especially in the first couple of threads. It just tears them out. So I did a couple right at the very beginning, didn't like it, so I switched to tapping everything. 3mm tap, and I've been tapping, like I'll tap the holes most of the way through, not all the way through, but most of the way through, so that it does have to cut some threads at the end. It seems to be working out very, very well. So it starts nice, you get lots of good threads to grip, and then the ones that aren't cut, it just drags them right through, which acts as a locker. Some of the ones like this one here and this one here, I actually put a little thread lock on them, because obviously they're never going to come off again, and it doesn't hurt to thread lock them a little bit. They'll stay put. I have on the older Scx10s, I had screws back out because there's no thread lock on them. But beyond that, I'm at the point now where I start putting stuff on the chassis, starting putting the sections and the skid plate in the chassis, and start turning it into a larger piece. So we'll leave it there, and we'll put a bunch more stuff together, and then we'll do another quick review video and see how the progress is going. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.